The grand diplomatic reception at the Coalition Embassy was designed to foster connections between species, an elaborate event where representatives from various allied worlds could form partnerships and cultural bonds. The hall was filled with careful social positioning, strategic conversations, and the kind of political maneuvering that defined interspecies diplomacy. One woman sat alone, conspicuously isolated despite the crowded hall. Lady Veska of the Kyrathi, a high-ranking noble whose name carried weight across multiple systems but whose presence was carefully avoided by her own people. She sat with perfect composure in a seat near one of the observation galleries, maintaining the dignity expected of her rank while the space around her remained empty. Human Trade Representative Marcus Chen arrived slightly late, having been delayed by last-minute briefings. The hall was crowded, most prime observation positions already taken. He noticed a seat beside a lone Kyrathi woman near a good vantage point. She wore formal noble attire and sat with the kind of careful composure that suggested someone accustomed to formal functions. Marcus approached and gestured politely to the empty seat. "Excuse me, is this seat taken?" The woman, Veska, looked up at him with expression that cycled through surprise, disbelief, and something that looked like barely controlled emotion. You wish to sit beside me?" Her voice carried genuine shock, as if his simple question was unprecedented. "If you don't mind," Marcus confirmed. "Seems like a good spot to observe the proceedings, and you're not saving it for someone else, are you?" Veska stared at him for a long moment, then slowly shook her head. "No, I'm not saving it. You may sit." Marcus sat, nodding respectfully, and prepared to observe the diplomatic proceedings, completely unaware that every Kyrathi in the immediate vicinity was now staring at them with expressions ranging from shock to something approaching scandal. The reception proceeded, but Marcus noticed people kept glancing at them with obvious interest. He also noticed that Veska sat with unusual tension, as if bracing for something unpleasant. During a brief intermission, Marcus turned to her with genuine curiosity. "I hope you don't mind me saying, but people seem very interested in us sitting together. Is there some protocol I'm missing? I'm still learning all the nuances of Kyrathi social customs." Veska looked at him with expression suggesting she was processing something unexpected. "You truly don't know who I am or what I represent." "I know you're clearly a high-ranking Kyrathi noble based on your formal attire and bearing," Marcus said. "Beyond that, I don't know your specific background or family connections." Veska made a sound that might have been bitter laughter. "I am Lady Veska of House Thulmora. 5 years ago, my family was destroyed in a political scandal, accusations of corruption that were never proven but damaged our reputation beyond repair. I was cleared of personal wrongdoing, but socially I am contaminated by association." She gestured to the empty space around them. "People avoid sitting near me. They speak around me but not to me. I am tolerated at formal functions because my technical rank requires it, but I am not chosen. I have not had someone voluntarily sit beside me in years." Marcus processed this, looking at the isolation that suddenly made painful sense. "That seems profoundly unfair. You're being punished for something your family did, something you were cleared of involvement in." "Welcome to Kyrathi social politics," Veska said with controlled bitterness. "Association matters more than individual character. I am marked by my family's disgrace and will carry that mark until I die, regardless of my personal actions or lack of guilt." "That's absurd," Marcus said bluntly. "You should be judged by your own character and actions, not by what your family did or was accused of doing." Veska stared at him with expression carrying complexity he couldn't fully read. "You sat beside me without knowing my reputation, and now that you know it, you call the situation absurd rather than making excuses to move away. This is unexpected." "It's just basic fairness," Marcus said. "You're not responsible for what your family did or was accused of doing. Treating you like you're contaminated is prejudice, not justice." He paused, making a decision. If you don't mind, I'd like to continue sitting here. The observation angle is excellent, and honestly, your company is more interesting than standing alone would be. Veska's carefully maintained composure cracked, tears visible in her violet eyes though she fought to control them. You understand that by choosing to remain beside me publicly, you are making a statement that most would consider politically unwise. Association with me carries social cost among my people. Then I'm making a statement, Marcus said simply, that I judge people by who they are, not by what labels others put on them. You seem like intelligent, dignified company. That matters more than what happened to your family 5 years ago. Around them, the Karathi attendees were clearly processing this unprecedented scene. A human not just sitting beside Lady Veska, but choosing to remain after learning her reputation, treating her with respect that her own people had denied her for years. When the reception resumed, Marcus noticed something shift in how others looked at Veska. Not acceptance exactly, but acknowledgement, recognition that if a human was willing to publicly sit beside her and treat her with respect, perhaps her isolation wasn't as absolute as they'd assumed. After the reception concluded, several Karathi nobles approached, not to speak to Veska directly yet, but to engage Marcus in conversation while carefully acknowledging her presence. Small gestures, but the first social interaction Veska had experienced in years that wasn't purely perfunctory or dismissive. Over the following weeks, as Marcus continued to seek Veska's company at various diplomatic functions, sitting beside her, engaging her in conversation, treating her like valued companion rather than social pariah, something profound shifted in Karathi social dynamics surrounding her. If the human representative respected Lady Veska enough to publicly associate with her, perhaps her disgrace wasn't as absolute as they'd believed. Perhaps she deserved reconsideration rather than permanent exile from social connection. During a private conversation, Veska revealed more of what Marcus's simple gesture had meant. For 5 years, I have attended these functions alone, tolerated but never chosen, acknowledged technically but never included socially. I convinced myself I was unloved, that the disgrace marking my family had made me fundamentally unworthy of genuine connection or respect. She looked at Marcus with expression, carrying gratitude and vulnerability. Then you sat beside me like I was royalty, not because you didn't know my reputation initially, but despite knowing it after I explained. You treated me with simple respect and dignity, as if my worth was self-evident rather than something I needed to prove or that could be negated by my family's past. Because that's what you deserve, Marcus said. Basic human dignity and respect. Those shouldn't depend on your family's political standing or past accusations. Among my people they do, Veska responded. But you demonstrated that your species measures worth differently. You sat beside me when my own kind maintained careful distance. You engaged me in genuine conversation rather than performing minimal courtesy. You treated me like someone worth knowing rather than someone to avoid. She paused, her voice growing emotional. That simple choice, sitting beside me like I mattered, like I was worthy of respect and companionship, has begun changing how others perceive me. Because if you see worth in me, perhaps they've been wrong to dismiss me so completely. Your respect has given me something I'd lost, hope that I might be valued for who I am rather than permanently defined by what my family was accused of. When Veska's formal social rehabilitation was proposed to the Karathi Diplomatic Council months later, her family's accusations formally reconsidered, and her personal standing restored. The council member who championed her cause cited unexpected evidence. A human representative demonstrated more wisdom than we have shown in 5 years. He sat beside Lady Veska when we maintained distance. He treated her with respect when we treated her with suspicion. He saw her character when we saw only her family's alleged disgrace. Perhaps we should learn from his example and recognize that worth is individual, not inherited through family reputation. During a private moment after her rehabilitation was officially recognized, Vesca told Marcus something that clarified everything. You sat beside me when I believed I was unloved, when I had convinced myself that I deserved the isolation my people imposed. Your simple act of treating me with dignity, sitting beside me like I was worthy of respect, like I mattered despite what everyone said about my family, shattered years of believing I was fundamentally unworthy. She took his hand gently. You didn't save me through grand gesture or elaborate intervention. You saved me by choosing my company when everyone else avoided it, by treating me with respect when my own people had decided I didn't deserve it, by seeing me as a person worth knowing when I'd been reduced to a cautionary tale about family disgrace. I just sat beside you because you seemed like good company, Marcus said. And that simplicity, Vesca responded, is exactly what made it so powerful. You didn't calculate political advantage or weigh social costs. You simply saw someone sitting alone and chose to sit beside them with genuine respect. That choice, that refusal to let others' prejudice dictate your behavior, gave me back something I'd lost. Belief that I could be valued for who I am, rather than permanently defined by what others decided my family represented. Some rescue comes through dramatic intervention and heroic action, some through careful advocacy and political maneuvering, and some come simply through choosing to sit beside someone everyone else avoids, treating them with basic dignity and respect when their own people have decided they don't deserve connection, proving that the most profound salvation sometimes requires nothing more than refusing to accept others' judgments about worth, and instead choosing to see the person everyone else has abandoned. The human who sat beside the forgotten woman discovered that simple kindness offered without calculation can reshape someone's entire understanding of their worth. Because being chosen when everyone else maintains distance, being treated with respect when your own people have decided you don't deserve it, can restore hope that no grand gesture could replicate. And the woman who thought she was unloved learned that sometimes all it takes is one person willing to sit beside you like you matter, like you're worthy of respect and companionship, to begin believing that perhaps you are deserving of connection after all.